What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. I want to give you a good breakdown of things that you need to know, why we're going up as much as we are today, and oddly enough, why we're getting so much news out of Saudi Arabia, which in general is fairly positive, but I just want to share some new updates with you and go over all that fun stuff. But before I do, you guys know the deal by now. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe, always greatly appreciated. With that, let's get right to it. Live ticker is going at the very bottom of the screen, currently up 9.26%, 19.6 for volume, and that's always a very good sign to see that we are above the average, which is 18.7, and 1.7 million shares being purchased by institutions on the secondary market. And so as I've been giving a lot of updates over the last little bit, I've been saying and stressing to you guys that big money is buying, seen both through the secondary market as I just mentioned, and also the dark pool. So these are all the transactions just from today alone. So a lot of big transactions, roughly about 60, almost 70 transactions just today alone. That's definitely a very good sign. So let me know your thoughts on that. I know there's a lot of people out there that like to follow what big money is doing, and that's been a nice growing trend that's been occurring behind the scenes. So let me know your thoughts on that. Plain and simple, we are up because of two different things. One of which is the technicals. So on the technical front, we are very much oversold and have been for a longest time, and not necessarily just Lucid, but a lot of other growth stocks. That outside of that though, the yields are dropping, so that's always a very positive sign for a lot of equities. So in general, it is all connected right now. A lot of people want to know, is this for real though? So I think that's one thing I can't really answer right now. It just, obviously I can give you my opinion. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day, but that is what everyone's question is. Over the last little bit, we've had roughly about 3 or 4 of these kind of rebound rallies per se, if you want to call it that. In general though, a lot of them have not been sustained at all, which of course you can always tell just based on the broad downtrend that we've been going on. So a lot of people are a little bit more skeptical, but looking on the actual chart right now, we are successfully in the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. So we did beat past that very heavy resistance. And for the general point of today, we've been in the $14 range. So welcome back to the 14s, Lucid fans. Stochastic though, like I said, we were very much oversold. We do have a little bit more of a breakout going on right now. Black line above the red showing a nice bullish trend, or at least wanting to form. Number of retail investors are just getting back in today, so that's always a very positive sign. This week is going to be very, very volatile because more so on technical data, we have Thursday and Friday, so we have GDP and then PCE numbers coming out. Outside of that though, we have a hell of a lot of earnings from a lot of big tech companies. So usually whatever they give for guidance will just cause ripple effects across the broader market. So in general, assuming everything goes to plan, Lucid should be able to stabilize successfully above that $14 mark. My own interpretation on that, but like I said, when it comes down to a lot of positive news that's been coming out, it's all been, for the most part, very much Saudi related. And so right here, there was a post by Sultan who did say and provided a YouTube video to this. I saw this, pretty good. Obviously, I don't fully understand it per se, but this is the new Saudi Arabia studio. So very, very exciting stuff. In here, they do refer to possibly 3 new studios popping up. And I think that was going to be the anticipated thing. Just, it's one of those aspects coming from an investor. It would be very, very nice to see Lucid being the one to provide a lot of this information, not just coming through hearsay or other YouTube videos. So if anyone from Lucid is paying attention or watching these videos, try to do a little bit better as far as PR. It definitely would be greatly appreciated. But still, regardless of all of that, Saudi Arabia is going to be a very good part and big part of Lucid going forward. So having more and more studios is always good. And as I've always said, all the studios have done exactly what they're intended. So they're driving up demand, getting in reservations, which in turn brings up more revenue and makes us as investors even more happier. So it is a very beautiful cycle of life going on, but there's a couple of things that I do want to bring up to you. One of which is just the general aspect of this. So right now, in general, Lucid is very supported by the PIF. I think we already know that. When it comes to overall EV manufacturers, in this article, it does say that a lot of these are given as far as carbon tax credits. And in general, though, it does look like the PIF now through this, as far as this organization right here, so the Regional Voluntary Carbon Market Company, they can provide a lot more tax credits because, as you can even see, the PIF now does hold 80% stake in that new company. So when it comes to that, though, this is where Lucid will benefit significantly by having its presence in Saudi Arabia. We'll be able to get a clearly hell of a lot more carbon credits, meaning that we can just pump out a lot more vehicles. That's my interpretation on as far as this goes. So let me know your thoughts on that. My basic understanding as far as carbon credits, I thought those were a little bit more oriented towards oil companies and things like that, but clearly there's an aspect of this I did not know. This is why I make sure you guys do your own due diligence. But regardless of that, having the PIF behind us, I think no matter what ever comes out, that's a very positive thing. So this is why, generally speaking, when we do get a little bit more news about the PIF or whenever that does come out, that causes Lucid in among itself to go up. So let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes to that, though, there was a couple different updates as far as accessories. Lucid did add the EV home charger with bidirectional outage support to the accessories log, so that's always a very good thing. I believe that they say that this is going to be around $1,200. Yeah, so it says the new charger will be costing around $1,200 and will be available on a limited basis at the end of this year and widely available in 2023, which again is a very good sign going forward. And outside of that, it does talk on this as far as roof box, what they call it, so air cargo capsule, and that is going to run you around $2,000 in addition to the crossbars, which is going to be about $500. So overall, pretty good accessories to add to your Lucid Air in the grand scheme of things, and hopefully these are very universal and can fit on the Gravity and things like that, because I can see this being a very big selling point for the Gravity. My own interpretation on this. And outside of that, though, like I said, when it comes down to the PIF supporting us, no different. We did get a little bit more of a memorandum of understanding with the Human Resources Development Fund, which is HRDF. I've never personally heard of them, but they are giving us money. And again, coming from that standpoint, I don't think Lucid could ever disagree with that. So even more so just on the Saudi factory as well, we're getting roughly about 3.4 billion in incentives. And so I think Lucid is being very much benefited from the PIF. So this is where a lot of people, when they come into play and say, why are you supporting a company that has a PIF or is backed by a Saudi Arabia or whatever it is, like, we are going to be very, very successful because of the PIF and the huge amount of dependence on this. But this specific news in general is going to be giving us 50 million plus in training and salaries to support assistance. 1,000 plus employees trained across the US, Europe, and Saudi Arabia. And so this is definitely going to be helping the transition for Lucid in Saudi Arabia. So I personally see this as a very win-win. Basically, almost everything that I talked on today is very exciting coming from an investor standpoint. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Let me know as well if you feel that this is a sustainable price. Do you think this is going to be a sustainable rally? Do you think we're just going to taper down? In addition to that, I know some people on Twitter have been asking me for updates. So I'm just going to give you a quick update on some short interest, let you know exactly what is happening behind the scenes. As of right now, though, short score is 87, so that's relatively high. The higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. Also, on a side note, if you guys ever have any questions about anything that I ever talk about, let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to describe that to you. Utilization is still at 100%. Also, just moving on from here, it's been pretty flat. So that's a positive takeaway, I guess, if you want to call it that. They're not really reducing some of their position, and typically cost to borrow and short interest are a little bit more inverse. So cost to borrow is going up a little bit, so 1668 is the average. So like I said, the fact that both are going up is a little bit more of a questionable thing. Clearly, they're expecting a lot more volatility this week, which most likely will come. Right now, though, 22.16% is the short interest of the free float. That is still really, really high. And in general, though, a lot of articles are still coming out saying that Lucid's still among the most heavily shorted stocks out there. The hottest stocks is what they like to call it. But in general, a lot of money is still shorting Lucid. In total, it does look like 1.68 billion. Potentially, if we keep getting a lot of this good news coming our way, and if we do get a positive more so Q3, possible Q4 update for reservation numbers and also even production numbers, we might have a squeeze on our hands. And I'm saying that very lightly because, of course, it has to be a very good surprise. And at the end of the day, I know, like I already mentioned, Lucid isn't the most transparent company. So anything that potentially does come out is a little bit more of a surprise that could result in a squeeze. But let me know your thoughts on that. But with that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel, want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships. The link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. And with that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.